Mitchell Sigman from AudioMidi.com here with the Arturia Origin hardware synthesizer. This is a long-awaited product. They've been working on this for a while and it's finally out, it's finally shipping. And what it lets you do is it lets you take Arturia's plugins and run them in a dedicated hardware environment with two Sharp processors for a lot of horsepower. And it lets you run their Mini Moog and ARP 2600, Yamaha CS80, Roland Jupiter 8, Prophet 5, and Prophet VS from Sequential Circuits. All those plugins that they make run inside the box, and you can run 4 at once. It's 4-part multi-timbrel. You can run it on separate MIDI channels, or you can use multi-mode and layer them together. What's really neat about it is it lets you take different pieces of those synths and different components and make your own Mondo modular synth out of that. For example, you could take the oscillators of a Roland Jupiter 8 and you can run those into the filters of a Mini Moog, and you can combine all those however you like. It has the modular mode where you can interconnect all sorts of things, and it's very flexible. It offers you a lot of different options. The Origin is 4-part multi-timbrel, and it lets you take all of those 4 parts and output them individually, whether you're using them as separate synths or layered together in multi-mode. It has effects generators for each one of those 4 parts, and the effects are standard issue, delay, chorus, phaser, reverb, distortion, EQ, bit crusher. Arturia tells us they've got more effects on the way, and also more synth models on the way. It also has an external input, so you can use it as a kind of crazy effects processor. You can do the obvious filters. A lot of people will want it, so they can use the classic Moog 24 dB ladder filter, run beats and loops through it and mess with them. It also has a step sequencer, and the step sequencer is similar to the classic analog synthesizer step sequencers. It's 16 steps, as you can see. You've got 16 buttons for steps and 16 knobs. It can actually be used in the 32-step mode, and you just page between the two. And what's even neater about it is that you can take the 16-step sequencer is actually 3 layers per sound. So what that means is you could have one layer control the pitch, and you can have a step sequencer for that. Then you can have another layer independent of that controlling the filter opening and closing, and another one controlling an effect, whatever. It's very, very flexible as far as modulation routing. And you've got one of those for each of the 4 parts, so you can imagine you can get some pretty crazy mayhem that way. There's a joystick, which is usable for whatever parameter you want to assign it to. And of course, there's a lot of dedicated knobs. The dedicated knobs let you get at vital parameters real quickly. And there's also these knobs right here, which are assignable, and they're color-coded, and you can go in there and you can assign those to whatever parameters you want on each synth. So you've got a lot of on-the-fly knobs available to you if you're using it in a live situation. You've also got, you can see there's an output mixer here, and again, each of the 4 outputs can be controlled live, and you can turn parts on and off very quickly, and you can adjust volumes very quickly as well. The effects are also defeatable. Each of the 3 effects generators for each layer can be turned on and off and adjusted very quickly. So they've really thought about the live applications. Alright, moving around to the back panel, we have a standard stereo headphone output jack. We have stereo inputs for processing external signals with the Origin. We have a stereo master output. And then we have 8 auxiliary outs, which let you take all of the synths individually and output them. And in the modular mode, that gets pretty cool because you can do a lot of different routing things there. There's a SPDIF digital out, which bypasses the internal converters in case you want to go straight into high-end converters. And there's standard expression and foot switch pedal inputs. You've got MIDI in, out, and through. And there's a USB jack, which I want to take a minute and talk about. It's USB 2.0, so it's got a high throughput, and right now it's primarily intended for piping system upgrades, that kind of thing, back and forth. But Arturia tells us in the future they may implement a feature where you can use it in a plug-in mode, where the Origin just functions as a very powerful plug-in, where audio actually pipes in and out of your audio system via the USB. But they tell us that's a little ways off, because they've got a lot of things to work on before then, but it's definitely a neat option for the future. There's a power adapter input, of course, and a power switch. As you can see, the Origin is a tabletop unit, but you can see the little screw holes over here. Bam, bam. And what that means is you can unscrew the wood sides from it, and the little trim piece on the bottom, this guy, will come off, and at that point you can mount it in a rack, and it's 6 rack spaces. The jacks on the back, I don't know if you could tell, but they're recessed in there a couple inches, so that way you could plug cords into it and it wouldn't cause a problem with rack gear.